Hey, I'm back. This is Chandler for Melda Production, and today I'm going to be going over MCompare. MCompare is something that I use on pretty much every mix. This is one of those plugins I'd recommend everybody to get. It's not so flashy, but what it does is it just lets you compare your music to other music, which seems like, that's not that much, but it's actually very, very important for mixing. So I'm going to show you some examples. I'm going to use only my music because if I use some commercial music, it probably get shut down on YouTube. But what you normally would do is you take some files that you have of music you like whatever songs you like and the genre you like, you load them in here, and then here you can switch between them while you're playing your song. So I'll just show you really fast. I'll play this song I'm working on. And then I'm going to switch between these 4 songs here. So that's the basics of how it works. And you can listen to them back and forth. And what you would normally try to do is you match, for example, the bass levels. Oh, my song sounds, a little bit thin compared to all the other 4. And if that's the case, I'd probably move up the bass. Or it's you know what? Actually, my bass is too boomy compared to these other 4 nice commercial tracks. Mine has too much bass. Then I'd probably bring it down, etc. And it just allows you to listen back and forth like that. Now, one of the things is the actual gain here, how loud it is. That can trick you. So what you can do is you can play your song and then hit the set button. And what it's going to do is it'll either bring down or bring up the commercial to match your track. Actually, these are probably about the same, so didn't do it. Let me try with this one. So you can do that, so that way all your levels are about the same. So all these, I think, are probably the same, so you're not getting too much of a difference. Let me try with this one. You can probably hear it a little bit more. Yeah, I made these generally about the same, but if you notice lots of commercial tracks, they'll probably be a little bit squashed, so it might have to bring them down 2, 3, 5, 7 decibels. And oftentimes I use them not just for mastering, but for your mixing. And your mixing, usually I mix a little bit, quietly, so then it's really going to bring those down. But that's really helpful, so that way you can compare things accurately. However, the other thing you might want to do is compare, let's say, the bass or the treble. What you can do for that is use this filter. Like this. And that way, when you compare that, what you can listen to is just the bass and see, is my bass really as loud as these commercial tracks? And you can do the same thing for the high end like this. So in that case, this track Faceless seems like it's a little bit more trebly than my track. So I might want to raise up the EQ with that. Let me boost some high end or something, maybe. It's up to you. And also, oftentimes, like I said, I use about 4 here. You can use more, but if just one is a little bit more bassy or more trebly, I wouldn't do it. But if every single track is more bassy than mine, then it's like that's when I think I really need to increase the bass. If you don't want to do 4, you see here the slots. You can do up to 16. I've never used that many, but it's possible if you want. So you can go in here and do that. You can decrease the volume of the whole thing if you think it's just too loud. You can sync this together so that way, whatever place you are with your song, it'll sync it up to these songs here. And that's good sometimes if you have, let's say, like choruses and you want those to see like how quiet are the quiet parts, how loud are the choruses. You can do that. And usually I don't, because I don't make music that's like all synced up like that. I guess if you're doing like pop music, it would probably work. Or maybe if I was doing I don't know, what else would work like that? Maybe a symphony or something. That might work where like the loud and the soft parts are kind of part of the genre. Maybe work with EDM too. But anyways, that's what you can do there. It also has the like auto gain, which this will move it in real time as opposed to just setting it once and moving it up and down. So you can do that as you want. Another thing that's really good is you see up at the top, you can compare the mid, sides, etc. like this. So you can check the different parts of your song. And the last thing I'll show you is it's completely different from this. So these are to check it against commercial tracks, but you can also check it against your own song. You're thinking like, why would I want to do that? But obviously, if you're mixing or mastering, you're putting lots of different effects and things on there. And sometimes you do that, but it's like, did that really make a difference? Did that make it sound better? And if you make something louder, oftentimes you're like, oh, that sounds better. But if you compared it with the same loudness, would it actually improve it and make it sound better? So what we can do with this is, you see we have it here. Let's put another instance here. And let's put it, let's say, before everything. So it's before my equalization. It's before all my stuff, like with the multi-band EQ. And here, where it says Generate Source, we're going to go in here, click on this, and we're going to generate source 1, like that. So it says now this instance is generating a source. And you can do this multiple times for as many slots as you have. So now it's source 1, but I could do source 2, 3, 4, etc. Now that I have that, when I click here with, go back here, I'll use this one. If I click on source 1, it'll do a before and after like this. Now, you're probably hearing 2 different problems. 1, the volume is completely different. 2, it's out of sync. That's because I'm using a linear phase EQ, and that linear phase EQ is going to add some latency. So we're going to play it, we're going to hit set, and then we're going to hit detect to try to even that out. Now, I went really light with the processing here, so you probably can't hear too much. Like I just cut off some low in there. I don't even know why did I use a linear phase EQ for that? That was stupid. And I'm doing just a little bit of multi-band compression here. So you're not really hearing too much, but just to make it a little bit more audible, let's take this down. I'm just cutting a huge chunk from the mid-range. So it sounds like this. And like I said, you could add more MCompares in here. So I could add one, after the EQ, but before the dynamics. And I could check each one here and see which one sounds best. Also, if you want to label them, because like, what's source 1, source 2, you can't remember. for this one, we're like, okay, if I have, this is source 1, I can name it like before EQ. If I named another one, I could say like before compression, etc. But obviously, sometimes it's like, I don't want to just trust my eyes. Maybe I click on one of these, I think, oh, this is better. What you can do is go into this blind test mode here. Turn this off like this. And I don't know why it is 8, but there, it has it. And we can click this and it'll randomly generate one of them and we can listen to, the different ones. So you can hear it's like mixing all of those. In this case, I have just 2 sources. So I think like, 2 sounds better. But you think like, oh, what is 2? It's this. So it's before the EQ. The reason you'd want to do the blind test is that way you're not getting fooled by, what's actually doing. And you can choose which one sounds better. And then once you're like, this one I did the blind test for sounded better. And that is whichever source it is. And it'll tell you. Each time you go into the blind test, it'll also like scramble up the numbers. So it's not the same thing every time. Did you see here? Did it pick any of these? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's off. So it'll scramble it for you. And that way you're just using your ears and that you can switch between them and you can trust yourself saying, that one is actually better. Well, hopefully I explained that well enough. If I didn't, be sure to leave me something down below and I'll try to explain it a little bit better. I didn't want to ramble too much, but I hope you see the usefulness of this. Like I said, I use this on every single mix because just useful. You should too. It does 2 different things here. You can compare it to commercial things and you can compare it to other things, other parts in your chain, which I think is, just wonderful. And with the mid-side, side features, etc., it just makes it just great for finding any errors in your mixing or mastering and making sure everything sounds great. So if you have any questions, as I said, leave a question down below. Give me a thumbs up if you like this, subscribe if you haven't done that, and check out all the other plugins at meldaproduction.com. Till next time, see you.